Hello and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we are on the map Canis River. Let's quickly go over the map and then we'll jump straight into the cast. So Canis River has several start positions. This start position at the back in the high ground is a more defensive start position, but you do limit yourself with your speed of expansion due to it being longer to get to the rest of the triple mexes on the map. The other start positions here, two more in the low ground, very close to each other, but you are more open and exposed to early raids. However, your speed at expansion is significantly improved by being closer to the rest of the mexes. Potential other start position is the triple mex here next to the Geo. This is quite often used in team games as a battery spot. Key points of the map is the river that divides the map along its diagonal axis. This is unpassable by pretty much all units with the exception of obviously amphibious units. There are several parts on the map that can be passed. Down near the geo points on both sides there is a low water part that can be passed by most units with the exception of ticks. Then there are central sandbank passes on either side of the map, which are very highly contestable points. Players will generally focus their armies on one of those two locations to defend their side of the map. And so when it comes to Canis River, this map is mostly focused on those chokeholds, and if you can overwhelm your opponent in one of those chokehold positions, you can do very well. Spreading out quickly is very important due to the high amount of metal extractors on the map. Now let's go straight into the cast. So here we are, TheRxyy versus C3b0. Looking at TheRxyy straight off the bat here, going for a double solo open. Wind is not in a great position at the moment, being at 7. It is below average and will go up now, but going at bots it seems as well. Now on the opposite side we have C3b0 here. Started a single wind with 2 solos. Is playing Armada. As you can see, this is recorded around Halloween, so if you're watching this later on, that's kind of when the balances was from. Now, the difference here is with C3b0 going bots, he's obviously going to have access to ticks, so we're going to probably see C3b0 being a bit more aggressive here in the early stages, and TheRxyy will probably play more defensive. C3b's start position here, as mentioned in the intro, gives him access to the Geo quicker, but does make him more susceptible to being raided. Now, TheRxyy doesn't seem like he's planning to do much raiding and has not even built a combat unit yet. Has actually gone double constructor first, which is extremely greedy. And as the ticks start to arrive, the grunt only just comes out. I think, though, it should be fine. The commander's in a good position to get any round here. And that other grunt coming out, get perfect timing. So, yeah. Decent start for TheRxyy here. 1 grunt each to assist and support the constructor. Going for the rear mexes first. He's probably going to look to maybe build his eco mostly at the back here. As mentioned before, a single LLT or something like that will block this path off pretty well. Bots can pass up here though, so it's something to be of note. Now, let me know how you find my mic in this recording. I have found my microphone, so we're on that at the moment, but the whole layout of how it's set up has been changed to how it was in the past, so it might take a bit of kind of work to get it exactly as it was before, but yeah, let me know, guys. TheRxyy has to take a 2v1 a 3v2 and loses both units. All of C3b's units still left alive. TheRxyy currently building his 5th constructor. That's a lot of constructors. C3b0, however, with only 4. Interesting enough, C3 is actually using this one here. Oh, that's a cheeky radar spot. Is he even going to be able to get to that? Oh my god, the constructor can walk up here. Wow, okay. I did not know that. That is a very, very cheeky radar spot. Good to know. Yeah, well, TheRxyy is kind of struggling here with harassment. He is getting attacked pretty much everywhere and can't really stop it. He hasn't been scaling his E and is now E stalling with this wind collapse that we see here. Losing a metal extractor in his base. Both solars have been shut down. Radar is gone. 2 metal extractors and a complete solar death. 2 solars getting killed. That's quite a lot of losses there. Ooh. So he lost 3 metal extractors, 2 solars. That is not very good. Now, luckily enough, the Rex are still here for the solars. So we could see him going res bots in order to res these 2 solars back up. And even this metal extractor. But surprisingly, TheRxyy here moving all of his cons. Oh, this is actually just a mistake. They were trying to repair one of these grunts. Yeah, this is not good for TheRxyy. So TheRxyy surprisingly moving his way towards the Geo. Bear in mind he can't build the Geo with his commander, so he's going to need a con there anyway. Surprisingly continuing to move these forces through and let these pawns and stuff get through. Realizing he needs to apply some pressure to C3 himself. Radar going back up, but he's been energy stalled this entire time. Still not going for any res bots to res any of the stuff in his base, instead just rebuilding over it. LLT unable to shoot as no energy, and this is going to be a complete loss of this little outpost here. LLTs are worthless if they can't shoot. At the same time over here, the entire grunt force of the TheRxyy was killed, and a resbot is already there, ready to get all of those units back up and running. And this energy stall has absolutely killed TheRxyy so far. To the point some of these metal extractors aren't even operating because he doesn't have the energy for them to operate. That's how you know you're in a really bad E-stall. Commander just building more and more. He was in the water there. Now, TheRxyy does have a few grunts just like scattered around here. We can see here and over here. These are just kind of probably just to give him vision or a warning on where units are. He may be able to pick up this constructor here if he's careful, but C3b0 notices it and he can't really jump into double LLTs to chase, no. And that early raid really has set TheRxyy back. Unable to really build back up again after losing these 2 solars. Surprisingly, never building a resbot either to get them back up or to eat the metal. Just kind of leaving the Rex sat there. At least now finally getting his energy under control. The LLTs will start firing, but still losing metal extractors here and there. If these grunts are able to keep range, they should in theory win out versus pawns, but pawns do have faster speed now, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So in theory, pawns should be able to close distance with grunts eventually, but there's a very small amount of difference between the speed. But advantage C3 at the moment, although C3 is now experiencing power issues himself. He has just built an energy storage though, which should help with that in terms of not dying when the wind stalls. He also did something interesting there. Briefly you saw it. He basically started up 2 solars, gave it enough to just kind of stay alive for a bit, and then walked, whilst the resbot, the construction turrets basically would be able to finish the construction. C3 though currently excessing on metal. up to 200 metal excess at this point in time. Army value is not really that big a difference between the players, 300 metal difference. Metal produced currently is a couple of K of metal difference. That's quite a bit, but so far, you know, 300 metal excess for C3, and that number is going up drastically. Metal a second is only 1 metal difference between the two players. Does he have any E converters? No. So it's like 1 mex he's basically got that TheRxyy doesn't have. Probably these here. One of these. Will this push be able to do anything though? Pawns and grunts, 11 of them. A couple of LLTs, although good, may not be enough to stop that quantity. Cheeky self-destruct of those LLTs would have taken them all out, but TheRxyy without the APM to deal with it, and they do manage to make it past the double LLTs. Although with the quantity that are here now, yeah, not able to really get too much, and shurikens come across as well. So TheRxyy is coming back quite well here with the advanced solar, and also looks like he's planning to go tech 2 very soon. Maybe needs a bit more energy first, it seems like. But getting the advanced solar, plenty of wins. Surprisingly, he's building them here rather than at the back. Due to air being spotted, you can see C3 has had to do the same here and going air. C3 is energy stalling now himself quite massively, but he is producing from 2 factories, as we see here, pawns and vehicles. Surprisingly, he's not cancelling the pawns. The energy production for pawns is required is relatively high, 900. I mean, tanks is obviously a lot more, it's twice, but you know, why do you need pawns? You've got stouts, right? Stouts and Janices, so much more better than pawns. And here we are, Tech 2 being built, 10 seconds out. Question is, will he be able to survive? Air transport's ready to go as well from TheRxyy here. He's either going to move comm turrets or he's going to move the constructors around. Now what will be interesting to see is if he decides to build the constructors here and then instantly go back to Tech 1. No, it seems like he's getting some fiends out first. Comm turrets being moved by the air transports here in order to get the reclaim. Now C3 is starting to get a bit more of the map. We can see that map control is kind of like this. So C3 has a big chunk of the map, giving him 3 additional, is it 3 or 2? 2 additional metal extractors. It's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but I guess you could argue that it is. The Geo for TheRxyy has not been captured yet. Whereas, as we can see here, the Geo is complete and heavily defended by LLTs and a Beamer. So, energy-wise, C3 should be in a good place. Tech 2 Armada vehicles just being finished for C3 as well. Now, what are they going to do next? Realistically, TheRxyy is in a tough spot by going bots as well. Bots versus, you know, bulls, not a great trade. I mean, if the bulls get close, the Sheldons, if he goes Sheldons, are just going to get destroyed very quickly. What else could he build? I mean, he could go, you know, sumos, mammoths, but they are so cost expensive. I think it's going to be pretty difficult. He'll stick with fiends for now, but even fiends into bulls aren't a great trade, especially if the bulls just stay at range. And now TheRxyy technically down lost 2 metal extractors, but bear in mind that he was already down 2 from the top half of the map. He's now technically down 4 metal extractors, and we can see that there is a 10% or 13% difference in metal income a second at the moment. Now, TheRxyy was ahead when it came to Tech 2 timing here, so we may see that start to jump as he gets his Tech 2 buildings online. You can see build power advantage is TheRxyy is able to use everything he's getting, which is good. Surprisingly, leaving this Tech 2 one here, I think that might be K before the fusion's built. Yep. Bit of a mistake there for TheRxyy. Just mistiming this one here, meaning that one hasn't popped off. He's going to have to get another Tech 2 con now to go do that, or he's just going to end up missing it. Going for the 3rd Tech 2 constructor. How many are we seeing over here? Consoles. A lot of consoles. 3 as well. The reason probably being is that, you know, there are so many metal extractors that you need to get to Tech 2. The quicker you can get them to Tech 2, the better. And considering the game has kind of stalled at this point, why not? This is funny that he's built clearly radars instead of LLTs here, and this missile truck is was unable to shoot through a tree. He's gonna let these guys die? Funny thing is, with that little amount of damage, they could probably just heal each other through it. Bed bugs. Wow, okay. That's not what I was expecting. We are seeing more of these little guys being used by players. Little sneaky side attack, and that self-dig manages to catch most of that attack. But he's still down 2 metal extractors. Fiend was actually really struggling to deal with that pawn, and he doesn't manage to get through. What are we seeing over here? A massive wall being built on mines by the console, planning to just hold the line. It looks like it doesn't really seem interested. C3 is energy stored right now. So you see at the top here, wind is in a decent spot, but it's because he's building this fusion that he has no E. He's also produced a lot of fighters as opposed to his opponent, TheRxyy. As we have a look here, just quickly select one. We control X. 27 as opposed to 18. And that single pawn manages to get 2 additional metal extractors before it dies is quite a loss. Army value is pretty much the same percentage as it was earlier on. With players kind of just taking their time ecoing up. We actually see, which I failed to mention, a transition over to vehicles, Tech 2 from TheRxyy here. As I mentioned earlier on, the vehicles, armed vehicles versus core bots would not be a favorable trade for TheRxyy. So he's actually decided to reclaim the Tech 2 bot lab and go into vehicles instead. This will give him a lot better of a trade against his opponent. Now, mentioned in the intro, obviously, the water along here is only passable via transversible units, i.e. these amphibious units, sorry, like the poison arrow or the salamander. Question is, will we see any plan for that? C3b0 building a forest of LLTs down the center here in order to protect against that. Some Tech 2 defenses also going up here.
But so far, TheRxyy is ahead now. His Tech 2 scaling has been a lot better. And metal produce is now advantage TheRxyy. You see Bulls making extreme short work of these LLTs. There's a console here that could heal him up as well if he wants to keep going. Also interesting is TheRxyy still not got this Geo. He has options. He doesn't have to. Oh, there we go. Now he's choosing to build the Geo. He doesn't have to go full Geo. He could choose to go Serb if he wants to be more defensive. But not really a need to. I'd love to have seen like a Geo like here on this map, so that you could build like a Serb as a like offensive tool or defensive tool, but no. Black being very far forward here, forcing the C3b0 air curtain further back. And we were talking earlier on about how TheRxyy hadn't invested a lot into fighters. Well, look how many fighters he's got now. 85 fighters, 6,000 metals worth of fighters, as opposed to the 2,000 metal worth of fighters in C3b0's army. And that is a big difference between the two players. TheRxyy, no! Run! That pitbull is really inaccurate. Is a Tech 2 radar planned? Yes, surprising. This Tech 2 radar will give tremendous vision where it is though, covering like half of TheRxy's base. Surprisingly though, it would be better off over here, because then it would give entire vision of TheRxy's base. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. You've got to deal with what hand you've been dealt. A lot of ambassadors coming out from C3 here. He's clearly worried that TheRxyy might build something a bit too close to the shore. And he's invested quite a lot into stopping that. A rattlesnake giving decent range will be able to stop these metal extractors being built. The ambassador maybe be able to do the same thing if it gets a little bit closer. Maybe able to get that one, as well as killing these LLTs that are defending down the bottom. Meanwhile, we see TheRxyy here on his third fusion. We have one Tsar already out, second Tsar out as well. He's able to build units pretty quickly now with his economy that he's got. Now, a second, he is starting to fall behind now that he's lost that Tech 2 extractor there, and another one is about to go. Boom. This one is starting to get picked apart as well by these ambassadors here. And not much TheRxyy can really do about that. Interestingly, we also see a stealth tank. Oh, but along the bottom, we see TheRxyy making a play. Were some decently strong defenses down the bottom, but not enough to stop Tech 2. However, there are a lot of pawns here as these tigers roll straight into them. Not only that, but defenses there as well as mines just a little bit up the hill. Single bull is the only Tech 2 unit there for C3, and that dies very quickly. Now very cautious of mines. And fortunately for C3, his energy has just started coming back up, enough to keep these mines cloaked. He's going to end up losing quite a lot of these tigers just purely due to mines. So much attrition has been dealt to these tigers via the mines that now most of them are pretty low health. These few bulls rolling up should be enough to stop them, as this console just builds more and more mines as it runs away. And that Tiger push will get completely destroyed. And this does leave quite a lot of reclaim to be had. This console is there, ready to go. That one, that's just a husk of one. Decent amount of metal, 5 out of 4K. Just sat right there. He did manage to take out 5 metal extractors, which is quite a lot. He still hasn't dealt with this mess on the top though. 4 beamers, a whole bunch of LTs. This Tsar does look like, I thought it was going to make its way up and slowly whittle this down, but no, it doesn't seem so just yet. Oh, but TheRxyy, rather than continuing on with his Tech 2, has decided instead to transition over to Tech 3 and into Shivers. He is going all in on this Shivers now. He has so many fighters, it's ridiculous. I think he needs more shurikens, if anything. Stealth tank gets spotted, and now the rockets will have nothing to vision. Well, the radar, I guess. These guys are obviously jammered, stealthy, so they are not in radar vision, but loses a Tsar there with a simple mistake. And Tech 3 has now been spotted. C3 will be aware. Tech 3 units detected. And huge losses of build power on this north side as these Tech 3 make their way into this defensive position along the top. Grunt spam being sent up with it as well to try and field some of the damage. And now as soon as these defenses start firing, C3 massive E-stalling. At the same time, AGO was killed at the bottom. Doesn't really have much to stop that right now. But he's not planning on, as he just continues pushing with the Shivas. He is playing offense now, not defense. A lot of pitfalls though do damage the Shivas quite well. And one Shiva's already dead. But once these pitballs are down, these should be able to just roam pretty much free through them. Lotties will slowly tickle them to death, but that one does die. Meanwhile, on the top, heading towards the Prude here, so we don't have to worry about explosions. Meanwhile, in the base, we can see that the stuff was grabbed by shurikens. Not really much C3 can do about that. Bombers being prepped as well, we can just see here. We quickly switch over. Fighters managed to get all of the bombers of TheRxyy, but C3 is now losing all of his fighters to the swarm of TheRxyy's fighters, unable to deal with the shurikens effectively. And as we look back at the top, Geo gone, Razorbacks coming out, but C3's commander in a dangerous position. No energy left, and he is cloaked right on the front line. 4 Shivas here. Will they be able to do anything here? This force is pretty dead, actually, at the top. Razorback should, in theory, be able to deal with it pretty quickly. But the goal here is to find C3's commander. The grunts come in. C3 is preparing for the D-gun. They're lining up perfectly. C3's commander moves. And there goes all of the energy of C3. And that is it. Very well played. At the same time, you can see how some of these balls were starting to make their way through. Some shurikens were being built though, so I think that would have been fine. But wow, that simple mistake of C3 moving his commander Lost him all the energy. That would have been a perfect D-gun. He could have got 3 Shivas in one shot. But that's it. That simple mistake ends the game for C3. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.